about it. Share communication, making preparation, building the foundation. Let's talk about it. Setting up our future, bringing ourselves closer, falling in love deeper. Let's talk about it. Since we have this moment together, relationships grow better with Marriage Talk.
Hey, well, praise the Lord. I'm Bishop Kim Brown, and we want to welcome you to this session of Marriage Talk. And this is literally part 2. My lovely wife and I introduced you to the part 1 session.
Which was so good. We had to keep it
Friend
going.
or foe.
Yes.
And it's really revolving around the whole issue of jealousy.
In relationships.
Jealousy in relationships. And so please know that our desire today is to be able to help you identify jealousy, address jealousy, and adjust your behavior based upon jealousy. And I think when we left off in session 1, we were really talking about how jealousy can be fed by trust issues. Mm-hmm. And you never hear somebody really dealing with jealousy and trust in any relationship.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't even think that. You think, I love this person. How can I be jealous of them?
Right.
And it's, I mean, until we really started to talk about this, it was just not a thought that would have ever occurred to me that I'm jealous of you for whatever reason. And we've become to talk about a whole lot of reasons why it might be manifesting in a relationship.
Absolutely. And I think now that we've kind of redefined what jealousy is, that it's not just
scared you're going to have an affair.
Scared you're going to have an affair, or that you are getting close to somebody else, or jealous of the attention you're getting from them.
Right.
When you make jealousy a much broader definition, it can be, I don't like the attention she's getting. That is not detrimental in the intimate part of our relationship, but her name is getting bigger. Her platform is changing. One of the things I think...
Or even, and not to cut across you, because again, I want to make sure everybody can potentially see their place in this. Because even in marriages, you'll hear from counseling, she's too close to the kids. The kids love her. They don't love me. Or, those kinds of things. Anywhere where someone is getting more attention than you.
Or their platform is getting larger.
Right. But I didn't want platform to be limited to ministry.
Right.
Platform is attention. It's
posture in life.
Correct.
When I look at platform in this sense, we're talking about the posture in life. And you just took us to a whole nother place. Because we see a lot of parents where the jealousy is 2 different dimensions when it comes to the children.
Absolutely.
You get parents that are jealous from one vantage point. Here it is, because the children appear to love the other spouse more than them.
Absolutely.
And then you get the jealousy another way, where you get the jealousy of one of the spouses being jealous of the time that their spouse gives to the children.
Absolutely.
So it can go, that can be a two-edged sword.
Or again, the skill set. I mean, I'm just trying to throw out a lot of different ways for people to be able to identify the jealousy. Because we talked about, you being right brain, I'm left brain. You're very creative. You were always the project person. I've always been the money think sequential planning person. But, we can cover each other's gifting. And I think, we say we say that covet. I mean, because because I can say which might make me jealous, and I know people thinking they're like, well, why would you be jealous?
First session with comparison.
Right, because God gifted us with different things so that together we could be better, but instead.
Right. And here's the good example.
Okay.
When our children were small, you're right. I'm the right brain, imaginative person. You're the left brain, sequential cognitive person. So you're the one helping the children with algebra. I didn't do well with algebra in high school. But when Kimberly or LJ had to come home with a project, I'm the one doing the electric circuit so that when you hit the bell, push the button, the light lights up.
With a project.
Right. Now, here is the problem, though. The projects that I worked with were project days where you got to go to class, you got something big and tangible, you got the volcano in the back of the vehicle, and you're coming home with a red ribbon. The algebra, you don't get that platform.
That's correct.
Once again.
That's correct.
So it's very easy for, if you're not careful,
That's right.
for jealousy to creep in, because this gets so much applause. I won a ribbon. It was the best project in the class and all of that.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's back to that comparison piece.
And your own
self-esteem.
Absolutely.
Because I can honestly tell you, there was never a day when I coveted that gift of yours. I'm not going to say that there weren't days when I coveted some of you. Like one, but let's take it a step further.
Okay.
Jealousy. I covet, yes, and you really arrested that in me. I covet your discipline.
Okay.
I don't think, and we can do some self-therapy,
Right.
but I don't think I've been jealous of your discipline. But I can't tell you how many times I've said to myself, I'm going to start walking on the treadmill, or I'm going to start walking so many miles a day. And then I see you, every day get up and go do it. And I'm like, man, so I don't know if that's jealousy, but it can cause you to look kind of side-eye at your partner and be offended. Now, you said in session number 1, I've done this before. You act out.
Right.
You act out because you don't want to face the reality. So I'm going back to session 1 a little bit. I'm honest enough to say, yeah, I be coveting that. And I be mad in quotation marks, because you display that kind of discipline that I desire to have.
Okay.
And so rather than me just celebrating that you just more disciplined than me, I got to throw, or some behavior your way.
Right.
That behavior, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, is rooted in jealousy.
Correct.
So I'll make some sarcastic remarks or something like that. That is still jealousy.
Right.
I think jealousy can play out so many different ways than the typical traditional way that we've done.
And that's what we're trying to help you with today, to understand what might be going on in your relationship.
And so what that means is this third step from session 1.
Okay.
Deal with your insecurity.
There you go.
You getting on the treadmill, it's almost like, and we say this all the time, why do you have to blow out my candle to make your light brighter?
Exactly.
Why don't you just work on your light?
Yes.
This is not a us problem.
That's right.
This is a you problem.
Yes.
If you want to be more disciplined, figure out a mechanism, and back to what you said. So he justifying your dysfunction.
Okay.
So when I would see you walk on the treadmill, I convinced myself that, why I don't walk on the treadmill? Because I'm right brain. I just can't walk. I need to be out where I can see the squirrels and the birds and all of this.
So why don't you go to the park and go walk?
So what did I do? I started walking outside, and I would walk. And then for like 2 days, I walked my 2 miles. And then I said, well, you know what the problem is? That gets monotonous. So then what did I do? I went and bought a bicycle. I'm going to ride the bike now. And I did that for 2 days. Sooner or later, somebody needs to say to me, preferably me saying it to me, you just got an overt problem with discipline.
Right.
Now, you still got to address that and fix it. And it's an ongoing process over and over again. But that's not that person's problem. And I think that when I get out of comparison, here's the other piece, Elder. What makes the jealousy go to another level is, I know that's my problem. And I know it's your discipline. And I get upset, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about us.
Absolutely.
We get upset because we see the other person appear to be more effective at not just discipline, but correcting their issues in life.
Right.
And we're not as sufficient at correcting our issues in life, which then adds another layer of jealousy on it. So it starts out, I just want her discipline to work out.
Right.
But then because I can address it, I can see it, but I don't address it, and I keep having these relapses of me trying to address it. And if I'm comparing myself, you might be having the same ones.
Right.
Or, just in a different category, but I don't get to see those.
That's right.
Because it's all internal.
Correct.
But I'm saying, man, she's so much better at addressing her deficiencies than I am. Then I've got another. So I'm not now just jealous of your discipline to work out on the treadmill. I'm jealous of your discipline now to address your inadequacies. Mm-hmm. That's why you got to get out of the comparison business.
Yes.
And deal with your own insecurities.
And focus on your own strengths, the things that you're good at.
Right. Because, and you know what, that's so neat because, and a lot of it, y'all, is just how you have been gifted. Mm-hmm. Some of this is not even discipline. It's just how you've been wired.
Right.
Because you will say this when if we go to a big corporate banquet or something, the hospital gala, once you put me in that room, I am going to work.
He sits me at the table and he gone.
I will work that room.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
But that's a gifting.
And
and it's something that feeds my, it nourishes me.
That's right.
It doesn't nourish you as much.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
But I think therein lies the difference with the jealousy. I'm not
jealous of that. Right.
Someone who is jealous of that will sit there and pout and be like,
why did you leave me at the table by myself?
Exactly.
Right. And they don't want to acknowledge that as jealousy.
That is correct.
That's my point. No, we came here together.
That is right.
Well, I didn't say you can't walk around the room with me.
Right.
I will be glad to introduce you to everybody.
Yeah, but that gets awkward sometimes too.
Absolutely.
To a certain extent. And that's just me. There may be some who say, yeah, I want to go with you. But for me, you go right ahead.
Absolutely.
And you do
but
that.
That's you dealing with your own insecurity.
Because it doesn't bother me to sit there. I'm good.
Or either, let's flip it the other way, or either you got to be willing to say it does bother me then face that dilemma and address that.
Correct.
Because there might be other moments. Now, the reality is with that moment, what I think one of the ways you deal with, we've been talking a lot about platform. Mm-hmm. One of the ways we deal with this whole platform piece is you've got to reconcile that it's our platform. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not your platform and my platform. There's not two separate platforms.
Correct.
It's one platform, even if it's not ministry.
Right.
So say, for instance, it's your career. Mm-hmm. If your career does better, we do better.
Yeah, and if my career did better, it's because you were my spouse that allowed me the time, the energy, the finances, whatever, in order to accomplish what it is I'm doing. Because if I go to work and I'm worried about home, then I'll never succeed.
Absolutely.
So that's why any individual success is an our success.
And you just led me somewhere. We might have to finish this in the next part of this session.
Okay.
Because there might be somebody watching today. Here's what we see, or what I see a lot of times. Male, female, not necessarily career, stay home.
Okay.
So it can be you're the one out with a high-powered career, and I've decided that I'm going to be at home dad.
Right. That's right.
The problem sometimes becomes we don't identify the jealousy that creeps in. And remember in the first session, we talked about these benign moments that become cancerous. I'm staying at home talking to the 3-year-old and the 4-year-old all day. You're out having intelligent conversations. Mm-hmm. And what we'll say is when you get home, I just want to have a conversation with an adult for a change.
Absolutely.
Make sure that's the real issue and not that you're jealous that this person has a career. You have a career as well.
Yes, you do.
And we'll talk about that in part 2 to the session today, because career does not mean that you're out there making this high dollar salary. Career is the choice that I bring to make sure our platform becomes all that God has ordained for our platform to be. Look, there's a lot that K.W. Brown Ministries desires to do. We desire to come and be such a partner to you in this journey of your destiny. And we just want to show you some opportunities to be able to do that. Go to kwbrownministries.org and you'll see so much more that we can offer. We'll be right back.
For 2 years, K.W. Brown Ministries has been working tirelessly to give you exactly what you need. You've asked for it. Tools for hope, tools for information, tools for inspiration. Stay tuned for October 9th, 2022.
Well, welcome back to this session. We've been talking about friend or foe as the overall subject matter for this session. But really what that means is we've been talking about this whole jealousy spirit that can rise up in your marital relationship.
Yes.
And just before we took the break, we were talking about sometimes we see the jealousy in marriage when one spouse is the stay-home spouse and the other spouse has a career, an outside career. Now, some of that has even gotten more aggravated with COVID because now the outside spouse is staying home.
And that outside spouse is now recognizing I've been underestimating
what the stay-at-home
for
spouse
granted.
has been doing.
That's
so
correct.
I think one of the things that you got to make sure you do is understand career does not mean going to an office, sitting behind a desk. If you're a stay-at-home spouse, you still have a career.
Yes, you do.
You've got a tough job. That's an assignment as well. And that is assisting the platform of both of us.
But I think the point you were trying to make with that was helping couples to understand that it's a we. This is something that we need, and we've just each decided within our relationship who would take the primary custody over a particular area.
Right.
Because we were talking about, even with us, with the kids and how we raise them in the family. And, people acknowledge, and we even acknowledge that we're happy with how our family has turned out, how our kids have turned out. But you acknowledge, though, they're creative because that's the piece that you took. They're a little more distant because that was the piece I took. Right. It was us together that were, raised the kids and have the family that we have today.
And to be able to say that, though, any discipline that my children have, now I think my children, our children sometimes think I had more discipline than I really have, because they would see me, every Sunday I've had a thought out sermon presentation.
We all have discipline in the areas that we want to have discipline, but that goes back to what you want to do.
But the reality is I don't see myself, if I'm honest, and we keep defaulting back here, if you're honest with yourself, and that is difficult, you said that earlier, but I'm honest enough with myself when it comes to discipline. I am a procrastinator. So what they saw as discipline was me either up early Sunday morning, especially years ago, early Sunday morning, putting together a sermon. And by the grace of God, I guess the Spirit of God would breathe on it, and it looked like I had worked on it all week long. I'm not I don't have that kind of skill set in my discipline.
Where I'm going to be done the day before.
Absolutely. Now, here is the problem. If me saying, you are the disciplined, or let me say it another way. I don't have any problem when somebody says their children must have gotten their discipline from elder. That doesn't bother me. If you're watching today and when somebody gives your children credit for something that they got from your spouse and that rubs you the wrong way, that's a jealousy problem.
Correct.
But I also like to think that there are some things that my children got from us. And I'm glad, and I want you to hear this, I hope that they got the best of me
of both of us.
And the best of her.
Yes.
I know it doesn't bother me, and this is not false humility, that they got their discipline and intellect from her.
And good looks.
Now I'm jealous. So we're going to need another session now, because I was going to say that. Well, I guess our children must look really, really good because they got good looks to the second power. I know enough about algebra to know, put the little 2 over good looks in. So, but seriously, you got to understand that, and you got to recognize this when it comes to jealousy through that lens, Elder. Given the dynamics, there are just certain areas where your children are going to be more connected to one of their parents based upon certain demographics. And I'll give you this example. I hear Kimberly say all the time, and this used to bother me, and maybe I'm doing some self-therapy now, and I used to get jealous of this, because she would say, I can talk to my mama about anything. Any subject. I've never heard her say she can talk to me about any subject. I am now convinced that there are some things that they have shared as mother and daughter that I don't want to know because I just know I don't process the same way that you process. Absolutely. Now, I think I did used to be a little jealous of that because we'll say this stuff. I want my children to be able to talk to me about anything. Well, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I want my children to be able to talk to me about everything. I want them to be able to talk to one of us about everything. So there are some things that I'm sure that they've talked to me about that they come to me. Your children already know this. There are some things they'll come to you for, some things they'll come to me for. You cannot be jealous. The reason why I went there is because if you are a stay-at-home parent, think about the time investment. While your spouse is outside the home, you are spending all day with that small child. It's by nature that child is going to appear to be more connected to you because just of the time allocation.
I would say that, and the only reason why I open my mouth to hesitate with that is because I'm just thinking about a different example where how you can clearly see the jealousy though. I see a spouse who stays home with the children, and yet the children are more connected with the spouse who doesn't, which creates jealousy in the one that stays home.
Because I'm investing more time.
I'm spending all day long, and now as soon as you come home, they run to you.
We see that as well.
That is correct, and I think that sometimes causes the jealousy. But I think you fail to realize it's because if I'm the one home, I might be disciplined. I might be the bad cop.
Not all the time.
Where the spouse who's not, that's correct. The spouse who's not, they are always joy and happy and let's play and it's a short amount of time. So again, you got to keep things in perspective.
So one of the ways you address that is by growing in relational security.
Yes.
And you grow in relational security two different ways. Some of it you got to do for yourself, but some of it is the spouse affirming you.
Yes.
So if you're the spouse outside the house, when you come home, every now and then, make sure that in front of the children, you affirm.
Yes.
Man, your mom did or your dad did all this today.
Absolutely.
You know, make sure that there is value attributed to what they bring to the table.
Correct.
The other piece is to make sure that the children or anyone else sees that affirmation and that it's genuinely affirming. And the other piece is, I think you hit it. Don't always let the other spouse be the bad guy. Give them some wins sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know, I think you got to make the decision together as a parent, but it's important sometimes. I can't always be the bearer of the bad news.
That's correct.
I can't always be the person taking them to punishment or restriction. Because they'll start to think that the other person never even is engaged in their discipline. So that's good. I think the other piece is to give up your possessiveness.
That's back to selfish. And we talked about why you get married in the first place. If you're selfish, marriage is not for you.
Possessiveness is a key to jealousy.
Yes, it is.
Because think about it. Let's go back to the example. When I'm not sitting at the table with you, I'm being shared, and I don't mean this in a demagogish way, but I'm giving of myself to someone else. If you're in that moment not the center of my attention, that's possessiveness or control. And I think possessiveness and control are, I use these terms a lot, kissing cousins. I think that there's a lot of people that operate with jealousy because they have a control need. And they get jealous of, man, this person is creating opportunities and relationships outside of my ability to be able to regulate or control them. And I don't mind you having a relationship that I introduced you to or a relationship that is okay with me. But you out here building, I know, you know, when you go play golf with other ladies and stuff like that, you know, if you're not careful, you can get very quickly caught up in jealousy because of giving, you know, your lack of giving up control, authority, possessiveness. I think the other piece we haven't talked about is that sometimes we're jealous because of our spouse's ability to become more self-aware. In other words, they start to believe in themselves. I wasn't jealous of you when your self-esteem was low. And I'm using that as an example, not saying you and I.
Right.
But, I ain't jealous of you when your self-esteem is low. But when you start to recognize, man, I'm kind of intelligent.
That's right.
And so what we do sometimes is misdirect or redirect our behavior. Here it is. You've been doing our taxes. I ain't jealous of you doing our taxes, but now everybody in the block or the neighborhood coming down there saying, can you help me with my taxes?
Right.
And all of a sudden, especially when I've been the go-to person on the block.
Right.
Everybody comes down to me when the hot water heater is out. Man, can you help me fix the car? My carburetor's bad on the car. Now, all of a sudden, I'm no longer the only go-to person in the house. And other people are discovering that you got gifts. I will find myself very easily becoming jealous of that.
Absolutely.
And once again, you're jealous of something that you're not even good at.
Right.
Which is another self-awareness piece. Man, you're jealous because she's helping somebody do their taxes. You're really jealous of the fame and recognition that person is getting because you see them developing an individual platform.
Right.
I've seen this so many times over 32 years where one spouse has had a business and then the other spouse starts a business. Everything is fine when that second spouse's business is smaller. But the moment that second spouse's business begins to trump the other spouse's business as far as visibility, size, income, it's amazing to see. It's tough because you've conditioned yourself that this is really your hobby. This is your hobby. This is what's really maintaining the status of the family. And then your hobby turns into a full-blown corporation. That is hard. So I guess, and let me ask you, this is a loaded question about our marriage. Do you think, I want to hear your answer because I don't want to be fooling myself.
Don't ask no questions
you don't want to know the answer
to.
But when we first got married, you had the big career and all of this. Do you think I was jealous? Or was it driven strictly by low self-esteem and inadequacy and insecurity? Or a little bit of both?
Yeah, I don't think you were jealous of it at all.
I don't think I was jealous.
No.
I just want to make sure I
thought that was more the, what'd you call it? The eye candy. I think I was the eye candy because you liked the idea.
Absolutely. So it built my self-esteem I was able to hook her.
That's correct. That's what I think.
That. Which then is not jealousy, but it's still, it can become problematic because if that's honest, then when you're changing a career, I don't want you to change the career because my eye candy is changing.
That might be.
Wow.
Well,
we hope today we've helped you to really dig a little deeper with jealousy and being friend or foe and understanding that together you got one platform. We believe your life, your marriage, your destiny is better because in this session we had some marriage talk.